coordinating the Eco Schools program, I mean, the core of the program is around energy and waste. But the education, I mean, just, it's more of an everyday, like how you think about how you approach your life, I think, how you act, how you behave every day. It's not a course, it's not just a word, it's how your everyday choices. It's actions that you take every single day to be mindful. It's more like the connection, more like how our Indigenous peoples kind of view it. I think just that connection to the earth. So every action that we take, we should be mindful of the bigger picture and the connections to our natural worlds. Even though, like I said, my background is more industrial and waste based. Just for example, food waste is a big sort of passion of mine or a pet peeve of mine. Like I just can't waste food at all. And there's such a big connection to food, and this is just one aspect of it. And growing food and how it nurtures our body, gives energy, is that whole big picture thing. So it's really the actions that we take every day, and how they connect to our natural world and doing the right thing, and just connecting to that bigger picture, that circle of life and our planet. It's really a way of reaching a larger audience and sharing and connecting our schools and other board staff, and sharing and getting the messaging out, because we're all so busy. We're all so busy. And teachers' number one priority in our schools is obviously the curriculum, and to and to the different components of our education system, whatever grade or subject that they're teaching. So really embedding or even bringing in a program, even though the direct curriculum links, it's really challenging. So to be able to see or to get out messaging to a wider audience and communicate in a way that everybody's communicating. And it's just my goal is to, usually every day, is to send 5 tweets out, and usually it'll be to share what other schools have done, like share best practices and ideas that other schools can use, and also get some messaging out about some great programs, the other things that are out there, new ideas, maybe new policies, things coming down the pipe, so to speak. It's really communications tools, been really effective, both even within the board. Our board is so large, so many departments, so many staff within each department. Just make great connections, and I'm constantly looking for other Peel board staff and different sectors within our board. Even you wouldn't necessarily connect to sustainability, such as maybe our planning department or IT or LTSS department, as we call it, Learning Technology and Support Services, I think. So yeah, making those connections within departments I might not otherwise be able to make. And so I try and have maybe one green person in each department that when I have questions, because sustainability does ideally cover all aspects, all phases of both the curriculum and how schools operate, the business side, that this just really, I found a really great way to make connections and make more headway, have greater impact, make greater change in sustainability in all our operations as a school board.
Well, I guess if people are following you, like, it doesn't matter what department they're following you from.
Doesn't matter.
They can kind of connect into the ideas, and they start to think about and percolate it, and then, people start to approach you with things, right?
And people come, and I get people, that are able to, maybe didn't know so much about me or what I do, to the sense, I mean, the great thing about the program is that, you may just only think about it for one type, the traditional school setting, your elementary or secondary school, but we have amazing schools in PL, alternative schools, customized Eco Schools program and for their students, and it's amazing things. Now I'm doing, our adult education centers are starting to come on board, are showing an interest, so I'm, bringing them in on board now, so it's just a great way to grow the program as well. And ideally, if we're really truly committed to reducing our ecological footprint as a board, we need to have more and more of our schools linked in. And using the Ontario Eco Schools framework is just, an easy way to do it, because any school can do it, and it really touches on basically all the things you want to be thinking about, be mindful of when you're trying to
change some habits.
change habits, change hearts and minds.
Yeah. Yes.
We can say.
Well, and that's kind of what, the next question I wanted to ask is about behavior change, because we talked a lot about behavior change in my course. So where do you see, where have you seen some of those big shifts in your work? And I mean, Eco Schools itself in our board has grown from just a few schools to, what are we at now, 101?
101 certified last year. Right now I have 113 registered. The biggest shifts, I guess, are in things like because of the work of the schools level, so our staff and our students in our schools doing the program, and things that they've discovered that they have championed, or they have developed, or they've needed and they have kind of worked hard towards it. Something, for example, like a water bottle refill station. So increased demand leads to operational change. Mm-hmm. So by our sort of different school staff or higher level managers and things like that getting requests for certain things or inquiries about them, then all of a sudden we adopt that as the board standard. Especially true of our energy. So starting to see things like real-time energy monitoring. We've got that in some of our schools right now, but we're moving more towards bringing more and more of our schools on board. We're such a large board, it does take time, but really change happening at a grassroots level, so in the schools themselves, especially doing the Eco Schools program, but not just Eco Schools, other sustainability activities and things are happening in our schools, but then just creating that pressure or demand is one way, and then just by the students' engagement, so seeing those leadership, seeing those student opportunities, those connections with the inquiry-based learning and experiential learning and hands-on learning, and getting out and connecting maybe projects based around the sustainability topic. And then, then you'll see the school, all of a sudden, the Eco Schools program or sustainability will become embedded in that school culture. And then that's a whole, then I like to say there's a green lens kind of shone upon everything about that school. It's built into this school success, the student success plan rather, and that kind of shift. So then top of mind, then that sustainability or that green lens is top of mind in every aspect of, let's say, the school's operation. So even anything from a staff meeting and everybody, then maybe a set of reusable dishes is purchased, or everybody brings their own and then just takes it home and washes it. So the waste footprint is minimal or something like that. It's even being mindful of things like our permits for our school community, when we embed some things in sort of the materials that may go out when a community group wants to rent our school. Some of the things to be mindful of. We are an eco school. Sustainability is top of mind our board, so please make sure to recycle where just mindful of your waste practices, or the board standard temperature is this, so it's gonna with the energy side of things, just
or make sure that you turn the lights off when you're finished your event or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So and working with our and also creating it's really inclusive kind of changes in behavior, where just maybe before the custodial staff wasn't interacting as often with our teaching staff or office staff or whatever, and now the questions are being asked, and we're working together as a team to reduce that school's footprint. So make sure that our toners, our printer toners, our Xerox toners are recycled, and that's a priority now of our office staff, because that's been made aware of, that's something that
they can do.
They have influence on, or they can impact. So so people really feel empowered when they and when they see the the connection that our students have, and that they feel really proud, because students can really impact a lot of these behavior changes. So when students see that they have impacted teacher or student staff changes. Oh, now we do this. All our teachers, we turn off our projectors and our smart boards and our lights when we're not using them, and that's now a standard practice at our school. And they have had an impact on that, because they were part of sort of a little a checking in on that, or reminding staff, or doing little sort of student or mentoring workshops about that, and then they see that change them. Then that's really powerful.
Cool. All right. So thinking broadly, what do you think our board is doing well at in terms of sustainability? Or what are some of our biggest successes in sustainability work in our board?
Again, I think the different departments are making those connections, not just having sustainability necessarily in one department. But once departments become aware of the work that we're doing here in facilities, and then some of the work we do together, because we have a committee we call our Peace Committee, so our Appeal Environmental Education Conference for Educators, and we still call ourselves our Peace Committee, so that we have our curriculum people and instructional coordinators. We have our Rob Ridley, our Field Centers coordinator. We work to bring awareness and bring conferences and workshops, sort of, and where any PL staff, any teaching staff can come and sort of learn something new. Maybe they can embed into their practice, teaching practice starting the next day. So something like that is really raise the profile. But I think different departments, as we try to, I think, like diversion rates is probably the best thing, and the waste side. So we have an e-waste program in our IT department, and that we support in purchasing, and on the facility side, a shredded paper program. Our relationship with the region is really strong, so in around our basic recycling and waste education, like programming that they provide free to our schools and our students. So so I think we're really great at relationship building. Our diversion rate of improvement. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, really, because it's an ongoing process. There is no one standard, for example, even in the province, on what is and isn't recyclable. So people may work in Peel but not live in Peel, and so the programs will be slightly different. So every year we have staff move around. We have new students come in, new families come in. And you have to kind of keep that education process going. So it's an ongoing challenge. But yeah, we developed great relationships, and really our departments are really open and looking for ways that they can improve their own footprint. And I think we've got some good programs in place to really help with that. Very innovative, and his outlook. I mean, if we could wave our magic wands, and I think we would love to be able to work together more often and collaborate more often, and do more conferences and more workshops, and support more staff. But we do the best we can with what we have, and the time that we have. We're a really large board, so change comes slow to start. We have to start somewhere, and
you guys have been,
we've done a lot.
You have done an awful lot.
I'm quite proud to say. I mean, just the amount of work that we're seeing in our schools, and again at the grassroots level, when we have amazing teachers, amazing students. So there's incredible work being done. There's innovative work being done. There's a lot of hard work being done. Yeah, a lot of teacher champions out there. A lot of leaders and teacher champions, and it's and they're doing some pretty incredible things. And then I feel really, I really enjoy part of my favorite things that I do all year is when I get together with my colleagues, a part of our Peace Committee. So Rob Ridley, Beverly MacArthur is our instructional coordinator for social sciences, and Mashal Cowcub, instructional coordinator for science and tech. So we're the core group that tries to run as many sustainability support workshops and book talks and whatever we're able to put together. And then those interactions that we have, that time together, with the groups that come out to some of our things that we're able to put together are just one of my favorite things that I actually get to do. And the time when I get to actually go in the schools every spring. Our eco schools get a site visit after they've submitted their application. So in May, I'm in a lot of schools, and that is absolutely my favorite time to get to sit down and actually hear from students what they love about the program, what they were most proud of, because they're really, again, they can influence the behaviors themselves. They are empowered to do that through this program. So it's the students themselves that are really driving a lot of the change that we're seeing with the teacher champions and teacher leaders.
Cool. All right. So what are some of the key, we've talked a little bit about some of the key issues and the challenges that our board is facing. I mean, size is a big part of it.
Size is, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, there's a lot of competing priorities just because of the nature of education and curriculum. There's different parts of the curriculum that are being worked on at different times. And I think we're actually on the verge of a bigger shift in curriculum coming. I think there's some revisions that are happening. I see more and more. And that's a big deal. It's a lot of learning that's taking place. So there's a lot of, it's a lot to be able to think about and to take on. So I know equity, inclusiveness are a big priority of our board this year. Supporting students around mental health. The healthy and active living component is a big piece, as another link into the environment. Things like social justice, empowering our modern learners, and thinking about the right way to integrate technology in with our students, tradition maybe, or move more towards the technology-based learning, but not only technology, having it be meaningful as well. So there's, it's there for sure, because we wouldn't have the success that we have and all those great things happening in our schools. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to get done in a school day. Yeah. And there's a lot of moving parts to a school. And there's a lot of different components to a school community, from the school staff within the walls, the students, and just outside the school walls, our school community members. So, again, it's education. It's an ongoing, it's not like a one-off thing about sustainability. So you can't just educate once or send a message out and kind of that's it, everybody. It has to be a lot of reminders, and because a lot of information there, and a lot of connecting the dots and sort of a lot of different components to it. So the challenge is to get people to know about it, to learn about it, to care about it, to understand about it, and then just for the teaching staff to embed it in the teaching practice, along with everything else that is happening. And the school year just seems to go, I don't know how this happens, but it goes by it's pretty intense, the school year. So yeah, there's just only so many hours in a day as well. But like I said, because it's voluntary eco schools participation or certification. And so we have to say we have at any given time about 40% of our schools participating in the program. Says a lot about I think the tenacity of our teaching staff and the commitment there, because that's quite a lot of the schools putting sustainability as a priority.
So what do you think, how do you think we could do that? How do you think we could, if we're looking to the future, what are some of the specific things or strategies or actions that we can start to move towards that would elevate what we're doing? I mean, and I'm not saying that this is going to add anything to what you're doing, because you got your hands full big time, but how can we as a group start to elevate this idea of sustainability into the work that we're doing and surface it? Because you're right. I mean, there are a lot of different priorities that our board has, and and they're all important. But,
they're all important. Absolutely.
But I feel like sustainability is sort of one of those. Really, it's interesting because it sort of embeds itself. There's concepts of sustainability that are embedded in a lot of different priorities. It's just making them a little more explicit. So what are your thoughts? What are some of the specific things that you could see us moving towards down in the future?
So I have lots of ideas. I got to be careful when I say, because I don't necessarily, when I say them that I'm necessarily be the one who's going to be running it. So it makes me make more work for myself. But one thing I love to see is that in the same way that that healthy and active living piece or health and safety, whatever schools, there's certain programs, certain areas where each school is required to have a representative on, and they meet regularly, and they're kind of the champion in that school to sort of make sure that the information, if there's a changes in policy or new things need to be done or training needs to happen, it goes through at least one person at every single school. So I'd love to see like a green leader, a green rep, an eco schools rep, sustainability person in each of our schools. That's sort of mandated. We need to have a board level sustainability committee with representation from every single department that meets regularly, because through that, a committee like that, we could decide as a board, and our representatives from our departments on our, every year we could have a different theme or a different goal, or be working gradually towards bigger goal, and we could break out through subcommittees or what have you, get the work done that needs to be done to make it happen, because we need to have protocols and action plans and policies in place, written policies around things like food waste, for example, or even catering in the board, reducing waste in the board, recycling programs, things that aren't necessarily eco schools, but they're just environmental protocols, environmental education protocols, sustainability protocols. And that's tough again because there's a lot going on. So to participate in another committee or commit to writing down these things are, would be challenged. But it's, again, in a board this large, it's probably the best way to do it. The other thing I think is through use of technology, social media. I mean, I think we have on our internal board, like our intranet, so we have an energy and sustainability sort of page where we try to post a lot of information, but even making that more vibrant, updated more regularly, even having teachers share their lesson plans, sharing the great work they're doing. We do have some space for that's housed, but again, some of us, we just don't have time personally, individually in our own roles to be overseeing that or updating that or uploading that or what have you, and then and then say, because you have to remind people that it's there and that it's there for their use, and it's and invite people to share. And so that's almost like a work project right there. But yeah, so you have to create easy forums. Technology would probably be part of that you can put the information that schools need, that teachers need, that our school staff needs to be able to do the great work at their own school, or even if you don't know, where do I go? Who's in charge of that? How do I find that out? In a quick and easy format, easy to find, not sort of buried or hidden or not apparent. Yeah. So, and it's tough because there's a lot of things that we that are on our information that we have to get out to schools, and so that those are a few things I would like to do.
Cool. Is there anything else that you sort of wanted to kind of talk about before we wrap things up about sustainability in the board, the things that we haven't covered, or is there anything that in the questions that I've asked that that you thought would be really important to think about in terms of, because the idea that one of the things that you've said so far was that idea of that different areas, sustainability is not just in programming, it's everywhere in our board.
And that's the challenging part of it. I mean, really but it's not everyone's priority, right? It's not everyone's top priority. So it's difficult when, in my role, for example, and that's all I do all day, I think it is the most important thing. But yeah, not everybody, it may be there, but it's to change people's behaviors takes, what is the phrase, I think it says 28 days to change. And changing adults is even harder. The students get it right away, and they're our champions, and then they motivate us to behave better. Yes. And that's the thing. It's small change. It doesn't have to be drastic change. I mean, I think we can start very small, get the messaging, is that we all just want to do better. I mean, if we even just think that mindset, is this we just to do our little bit, even if it's a little bit every day or every month, just to do better. than we did the month before, the day before, the week
and
before.
To know we can.
And
right?
that it's doable. It's not, it doesn't involve a lot of money or a ton of time. It's really small changes, but that really all, once all put together, really do actually can make big change. The one thing I think that I would love to see somehow us incorporate or do better, or incorporate our student voice, because I think we're great at school staff and in some of the things we do for school staff or with our peace committee, with some of the great work in our different departments, and within our schools. But I'd love to be able to have more opportunities where our students could come together and share and learn together. If we're able to do more conferences, but we have to be very thoughtful about the conferences, because we want the information, the learning, and the ideas they get inspired by that they can actually then literally the next day begin to implement at their own school. So it would have to be thoughtful way to capture that student voice and to connect different schools and eco teams together to share and learn from each other. But yeah, if we partner that at the same time with more board standards on things, and again, we start small, like basically recycling and energy, even just basic energy conservation practices, like it's a low-hanging fruit, right? So we really have to promote that and educate about that, and really make that a priority, that turn things off when you're not using them. I mean, that's
simple.
Very, very simple. I think we're pretty wasteful. I mean, it's just, we're lucky to live where we live. I think this, all the time. And it's a hard concept to get our students to truly understand when we live where we live and such. Because I say this to my own kids all the time. Nowhere else in the world lives how we live. And we're so lucky. We don't have to worry about where our food's coming from. We don't have to worry if we're going to be cold in the winter. We don't have to worry about our safety. A lot of things we take for granted, but how do you really get our students and our children to understand that and value that and care about it and be grateful for it, and want to even improve on, you know what I mean, to make sure even that future generations, we still are able to live how we live, and there's plenty for everyone. So there's difficult concepts to to tackle, but like I said, we're doing great work, and it's all at the grassroots level. I think if we were able to incorporate student voice and sort of at a board level or highest level, really put some things into writing and some policies in place that were front and center, that would make it easy for people to know sort of what to do and where they can get support when they need it. Even mentoring, things like that. I think that would be, support each other would move us in the direction we should be going.